Well, happy Tuesday, folks. We hope you're doing well.
Yeah,
Welcome to another episode of Breakfast with Mark and Jen.
yeah.
We're here to help your Christian marriage thrive. And today we're going to just jump right into it.
Wait. We can't just jump right into it. If y'all notice, the setting is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So you're probably saying, did they like redo their whole kitchen? Are they in somebody else's house? What's going on?
Well, we did redo the whole kitchen,
We did redo the whole kitchen.
but in another house.
Right. So,
We moved
yeah.
and we were blessed to purchase a home in end of September,
Yep.
and we're fixing it up. We want to do a whole thing on a testimony
Yeah.
about our journey here.
Yep.
But yes, so surprise when we were talking or alluding to the fact that we're in transition. That was the biggest part of it, is that we had purchased a new home, and we've been doing some renovations because unless we build it from the ground up, it's just hard to find a home that 100% meets our tastes
Yeah.
and pickiness.
Yeah, so we just redid a bunch of stuff, and that's why we're in a new spot. Okay, so it looks a little bit different, but same old Breakfast with Mark and Jen in terms of great content,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be good. All right, so let's get into it, PJ.
All right. Not PJ.
Well, I'm so used to calling you PJ. So Jen,
So what we're talking about are things that you need to do in order to prepare for marriage.
right?
So I know that this channel caters to a lot of couples that are engaged or already married, but we want to take some time and talk to the people who want to be married.
Yep.
And maybe if you're already married but you realize you didn't do some of these things, maybe you still have time.
Right.
So there you go.
Yep.
All right. So things that you need to do in order to prepare for marriage. Mark, do you want to go first?
You go first. Don't put this on me.
Okay. You know we're unscripted, so I'm going to say one thing that you need to do in order to prepare for marriage is be aware of your personal likes, dislikes, and things that you're willing to live with and things that you're not willing to live with. So for some people, this list gets extensive and it gets crazy, and people start to say things like, I can't live with someone who has acne. Okay? And I bring that up because I had terrible acne when we got married. I did. Didn't I have terrible acne?
Yeah, but I didn't know where you're going with this.
So the list can start to get superficial. I'm talking more about things like, are you unable to live with someone who just can't manage money well? Because some people feel as if I'll just manage the money,
Right.
and we'll communicate and we'll get through it. Some people feel like if you're already showing me that, I can't live with that.
Right.
You need to already know your likes and dislikes, just in general. Why? Because when you get married, you're not supposed to become a totally different person. You're just supposed to complement the person that God is blessing you with. So I think being clear on things you like, things you don't like, things you can live with, things you can't live with, are important to know before you get married, so that if you're dating someone and they present a whole long list of things that you can't live with, you need to know that early on.
Yeah.
And don't say I do if you know that they're bringing things to the marriage. It doesn't necessarily make them a bad person, it's just things you can't live with.
Yeah. I think you definitely need to know your likes and your dislikes. And one of the most important things that you can do in preparation for marriage is to work on yourself
Yeah.
and
That's
to work on some of your weaknesses and bad habits, and to be really transparent with yourself to say, I need some work.
Sorry,
in
y'all,
this
this
area.
is unscripted, but I gotta help him out here.
I need some work in this area. Thank you. I appreciate that. See, I knew I needed to marry someone that would take some food off of my beard when we're on camera. You gotta know that you have certain things that need to be addressed
Yeah.
before you get married. And it's a weakness for you. And that will better prepare you for marriage. And a lot of times, God will give you the opportunity to work on that in your marriage or before you get married or before you meet that person. And sometimes God will give you the opportunity to work on it with the person as you're preparing for marriage. So while you're dating, it's a good idea to talk to the person and say, "Hey, I struggle with this."
Yeah.
Like let's be real.
Right.
And let's tell the person exactly where you are and where some of the core weaknesses in your life are, so that you can better help prepare the relationship for marriage, because marriage is all about being vulnerable, being transparent. And the more that you can do that before you get married, that helps the relationship build trust, build confidence, build strength. But then also, that person will know, going back to your point, Jen, can I live with this person? Can I do this? Because maybe your weakness is something I can't do.
Yeah.
Like maybe you're struggling with something. Like if you are addicted to drugs,
Well, yeah.
no. Some people would be like, you know what? I love this person enough to walk them through this and to help them recover.
I mean, okay.
So
I just
even,
wouldn't recommend it because drugs usually will make people also act in ways that they wouldn't act if they
well,
were
let
of
me
themselves.
not say addicted to drugs. Let me say you are recovering,
Oh, okay.
right?
Okay.
Let's say you're recovering.
Okay.
Some people see that as, hey, I can't do that
Right.
because you have certain tendencies. Other people would say that's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
I'm willing to help this person become stronger and walk out their sobriety.
Okay.
So I'll clarify that.
Yeah.
But it helps the other person, it helps the relationship know whether or not it has enough foundation and strength
Yeah.
to go through marriage. So a good preparatory step is to be vulnerable with your weakness and put that on the table.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think another thing to do in preparation for marriage, this one is, well, it's kind of twofold. I would say pray and ask God what you should bring to the table. Because I heard someone who I respect recently say that a lot of single women have a habit of saying he has to make this salary, he
Right.
has to work for this type of company,
Right.
he has to drive this type of car. And she's like, but are you the type of woman that can handle a man that makes a certain amount of money? Because that means he probably works a certain amount of hours.
Right.
Excuse me. Can you handle a man that is an international businessman and you're a homebody and you never want to leave
Right.
your house? So pray and ask God, what should you be bringing to the table?
Right.
But also start checking things off your bucket list. And the reason I say that is because you may not know, you may not have gotten a specific word from God as to how old you'll be or what year it'll be when you get married. So let's say you're 25 right now, you want to get married, you're not dating anyone, but you have a couple of things on your bucket list. You want to go to Italy, you want to go whitewater rafting, you want to eat at a particular restaurant. You don't have to wait until you get married. You can start checking some of those things off.
Right.
Because what if you're 25 and in God's plan for you, he has for you to get married at 45?
Right.
If you have the financial means and the ability in your schedule to check certain things off your bucket list, why not go ahead and enjoy life to the fullest? And then when you do get married, you can create a whole new bucket list with your spouse.
I think that's cool. I think that better prepares you for marriage because you are able to transition into life with someone,
Right.
right? You're able to, you good?
Allergies, y'all.
You're able to transition into a life with someone, so you no longer feel the need to do single things when you're married,
Oh, that's good.
right? You feel like, hey, I got all of that out of my system, so now I can settle down with someone. So
Yeah.
I'm checking all these things off my bucket list. I think that's a really
Yeah, I
good,
think it's a great way to prepare if you find yourself
yeah,
unmarried and not dating, but you believe God at some point is bringing you a spouse. You don't have to wait until he brings you someone to do certain fun things.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And you know what else I thought about is something good to help prepare yourself for marriage is to prepare your money, prepare your
That's good.
finances. You
Absolutely.
know, you have an opportunity when you're single to save a lot, invest a lot, and you don't have the pressure nor the responsibility of caring for other people. So, especially as a man, take the time to get your stuff in order. Take
Right.
the time to get your credit in order. Take the time to work, save,
Yes.
and maybe even buy a house, get certain assets so that when you walk into marriage, you're better prepared for marriage. And it does not mean that if you don't own a house,
Right.
if you don't have anything in your savings account,
Right.
if you don't have any investments, you can't get married.
Right.
But these are things that will actually help the marriage and propel it and allow it to go forward faster. And it also makes you a better candidate for marriage.
Yeah.
Like, there are people that will, like, you know, there may be a line to go out with you because you are well prepared for marriage.
Yeah.
Like, you may have a long list of people that actually are attracted to you and want to take a next step forward or even date you because you are well prepared, especially for guys.
Yeah.
You know, that's really attractive for women
Right.
if they see a man that has his stuff together.
And I saved this for my last. Mark may have more for my last.
No, it's not your last.
But it's not.
We just getting started.
But it's not least. Is strengthen your spiritual walk while you're single. There is never more time in your schedule, in my opinion, than when you're single. Now I know some single ladies and gentlemen will probably disagree with that because these days people have such demanding jobs. People have such demanding businesses. So even if you work for yourself, you're doing a lot. I get it. I've been on both ends of the spectrum, entrepreneur, but I've also worked in corporate and I've worked in preschool. So I get it. But what I mean by that is when I was single, I remember I would take the days that I didn't have a morning class or a class at all in college, and I would actually attend the noonday prayer services at my church. I just didn't have anybody else to worry about, really. I didn't have any children, I didn't have a spouse, and I just had the flexibility in my schedule. I didn't have to say, I was basically just telling my parents, here's where I'll be if you need me. But I didn't have to now go to someone and run my schedule past them and say, hey, I want to go to noonday prayer. Does that work with your schedule?
Right.
Or does it work with you picking up the kids? If I go to, I literally just simply said, hey, mom and dad, I'll be at church praying if you're looking for me. And that was it.
Yeah.
And so when you're single, I think are some of the best times to spend with God, because no matter how busy you may think you are, if you're single and you're single with no children, you really do have more downtime than you think. If you look for it, the time that you're spending watching Netflix by yourself,
Yeah.
the time that you're spending scrolling social media by yourself, those are precious moments to just start talking with God and asking Him to help strengthen you. Because the stronger spiritually you can go into the marriage, the better it is for both of you.
Yeah, I think that's important because it'll really help ground and solidify what God wants to do in your future because you're really putting the time in right now. And a stronger you, a stronger spiritual you will be a stronger relationship and a stronger marriage because you're closer to God. So I think that's really important and key. You know, I think also from a guy's perspective,
Yeah.
how you can prepare yourself for marriage is stop trying to date everybody in the world at one time.
That's good. Yep.
Like, you have to come to a place of maturity in your life as a man where your eye stops being full with all these women that you want to talk to, that you want to date, And now it actually feeds your ego and your pride to have all these women that you've talked to,
Wow.
all these women that you've dated, all these women that, maybe you've had encounters with. Now you need to grow up, be more mature, and become more solid and single minded.
Yeah.
So if you see someone, a female that you're interested in, then that needs to be the only female you're interested in.
That's good.
To prepare your mind as a man for marriage, you have to start thinking about that person
Yeah.
and that person only. You can't think about that person and have somebody else on the side and say, I'm preparing my soul
Right.
and my mind for marriage. It's not a flip of a switch. Just because you put a ring on it, just because you say I do at the altar, all of a sudden your eyes will have control.
Right.
Your thoughts will have control.
Right.
Your flesh will have control just because you said I do. No, you're going to be a married man with single man problems. You need to make your mind, condition your mind in
Yeah.
this moment right now
Yeah.
as you prepare for marriage to start thinking of that special someone.
Yes.
And allow them to fill your life
Yeah.
and
That's good.
consume you and meet every need. Now you're not married yet, so you shouldn't be sleeping with them.
Right.
So they can't meet your sexual needs.
Right.
But they start to meet your needs emotionally and fulfill you, and you begin to get the thoughts and the feelings and the confidence that this person will be able to meet all of my needs.
Yeah.
And resting in that is going to be critical.
That's good.
For a guy, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
For a guy, if you want to prepare for marriage, you may have to shut your Instagram account down.
Uh-oh.
You may have to shut IG down.
Okay.
You may have to unfollow some of those accounts because it is not helpful for the man you hope to be if you're still living with the man that you no longer want to be. You have to cross the threshold and say, hey, I don't want to be that guy anymore. I'm no longer in high school. I'm no
Yeah.
longer in college, or I'm no longer that immature. If you are in college, you're ready and you want to get married. So certain things have to stop. And if you don't have enough self-control, maybe you have to say, I need to shut down my IG account for a
Right.
little bit. I need to come off social media for a little bit. Jen, speak to the power of shutting down social media, because I think that guys will shut down social media if they're preparing for marriage because of certain things that they need to get in order. But just overall, a female may need to shut down social media, even from a comparison standpoint, an emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
Like that in our society could be a great prep step to getting ready for marriage.
Yeah. I mean, simply put, sometimes social media, or a lot of times social media, does have the power to cause you to compare. And so you'll look at another woman's house or
Yeah.
marriage or relationship and think that it's stellar and think that it's something that you want, when in reality, she might be behind the scenes in turmoil and in torment. And so not everything that glitters is gold. It's an old saying, but it's really true. Not
Yeah.
everything that glitters is gold. And the old folks would say that because they're like, hey, just because you see something from the outside doesn't mean it's all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
And so really someone else's relationship shouldn't necessarily be your relationship goals.
Yeah.
What God wants for you is your relationship goals.
Yeah.
So if you find that you're comparing yourself to other wives on Instagram, other women on Instagram, you can do one of two things. You can either shut down social media altogether, or at least just unfollow those accounts that are causing you angst and causing you comparison issues.
Yeah. Preparing for marriage is so important, because you used to tell me about these $1 million weddings.
Yeah, I used to watch it on TLC.
Yeah. And for a woman that is thinking about marriage, let's say this woman is in a serious relationship and she wants to prepare herself for marriage. And she's filling her eyes with certain, weddings and all that stuff on social media. And all. Could that be a detriment to what marriage really will be?
Oh yeah, because the wedding day is never as important as the marriage itself.
Yeah.
And there are some people who have literally just done a courthouse wedding and a backyard barbecue, and they're married for 50 years plus because they weren't caught up in the flair and the fancy dress.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that if you can afford a certain wedding that you shouldn't have it. I'm just saying you don't have to go into debt or try to impress people with a wedding that a lot of times people are going to forget. I mean, I hated my reception centerpieces. The reception hall that we used came with centerpieces, and my parents were like, listen, it comes with the large bill we're already paying.
Right.
So those centerpieces will absolutely be fine. I hated them, and I remember them because I hated them and it was my wedding.
Yeah.
But I know literally zero of my wedding guests remember my centerpieces.
Including me.
Yeah. And it was also his wedding. Nobody except for me remembers those centerpieces. And I look back on it now and I say, at the time I wanted my parents to give into what I wanted because I wanted these over the top centerpieces. And they were just like, no, not when you can get some that look nice and they come with the bill. But also I realized we've been married for 16 years and counting. Yeah. We've been blessed with a beautiful marriage, a beautiful relationship. And if I had forced my parents, or if I had taken my own credit card and gone into debt over centerpieces, what would I have gained? Because even the over-the-top centerpieces, nobody would remember. I mean, I'll put it this way. When my sister-in-law got married, she had a beautiful reception hall in terms of how it was decorated.
Yeah.
Do you know it's only been 2 years since she's gotten married, and I'm already like my memory's starting to fade with like exactly what her centerpieces look like? It's already vague. I just remember it was grand, beautiful, felt very regal. Yeah. But I'm already starting to forget, y'all, what type of flowers she had as her centerpieces.
Right.
And it goes to show that no one's gonna remember that.
Yeah.
So pour into making sure your marriage is going to be beautiful.
Come on.
And then you make your wedding the best you can make it without going into debt. But I wanted to say also for women and men, before you get married, if you don't already have certain skills, work on certain household skills. This is for both genders. You don't have to. You don't.
Sorry, I just thought about women that can't cook.
You don't. Okay. Well, you don't have to. I happen to love cooking, but you may not find cooking as your forte. Your husband, ladies, you may marry a guy that loves cooking. But here's my thing. Learn how to cook something, right? Because Uber, DoorDash, and Grubhub are not learning how to cook. Those are learning how to order. I'm saying learn how to cook. Do something simple. Learn how to cook spaghetti. Learn how to cook salmon. Salmon is easy. Learn how to cook a pot of rice. Put together a bomb salad. Why? Because there have been times in our marriage where I literally have been too sick to cook, too tired to cook. And Mark, because he has skills on the grill, he can always grill meat for us. But you even know how to make spaghetti.
Yep.
And you don't do the majority of the cooking in our house because you just don't love it.
Right.
But also, when I was pregnant and sick, both pregnancies, and I had an emergency C-section with the second pregnancy, you were able to put in a load of laundry. Because you weren't out here like, man, I hope these colors don't bleed.
Right.
You knew you had to separate whites and darks and lights. I mean, he knew that. So I'm saying, if you weren't taught, that's okay. But while you're preparing for marriage, learn a few household skills. No one is saying that based on your gender, the household skill has to all rest on you. But life happens. You end up in an emergency. You end up in a challenge that you weren't expecting. And if you refuse, based on your gender, to learn how to, and then you have some women who I feel in our day and age actually won't learn to cook because they're trying to prove a point that it's not women's work.
We gotta eat. Is all I'm saying.
Learn how to cook something.
We gotta eat.
That's my opinion. Know how to clean. Don't say, well, it's 2023. A man needs to know how to clean. I absolutely agree. But if you are a female, let me tell you what my mom told me before I got married, and it's great advice. She said, if people come to your home and every time they come to your home it's dirty, they will never say her husband must be a slob. They will say she doesn't know how to keep a house. She said they will never blame the husband for why the house is dirty. They will always look at the woman and say, I believe that's true even in 2023
Listen,
though.
you know they're coming for you. You know they're coming
Well,
for you.
come for me
Because they're gonna be like, well, it's not just my responsibility, and that's antiquated
and
thinking.
I listen. And I did state that men and women need to learn certain household skills. But if you are going to step to me with a broom. Don't step to me if your house is dirty. If you're coming for me in the comments, please clean before you come. CBC, clean before you come. That's all I'm asking. Do not come for me in the comments if you're a lady and your house is filthy dirty. Not just filthy, but my grandmother would say filthy dirty. It's just double dirty. Don't come over here. Don't come over here. And I know, ladies, and I know the guys are going to be all in the comments like, preach, because that's usually what happens. But if you are going to come after you sweep.
After you sweep.
Then say something to me.
Wow. But listen, it's true, because I can't imagine a marriage where neither party knows how to cook.
Right.
Okay, you're gonna order out all the time. Well, you're gonna be spending a lot of money.
Exactly.
And
it's not going to be as healthy.
It's not gonna be as healthy. There's certain, and so to be practical, to make marriage work, there are some practical steps. There are some necessities that really help a family run efficiently and in a healthy way. And so we're talking from experience. If you're going to be married a long time and you want to prepare for marriage, then please, somebody know how to cook. Somebody know how to cook, because
And clean.
we gotta eat. We eat every day.
Right.
We
But
wear
also-
clothes every day.
But also learn how to clean, and here's the thing. If you grew up in a household where you honestly didn't see cleaning take place, because I know people live differently and have different upbringings. I am not even being facetious. You can literally, there's so many women that I've seen on YouTube that literally break down how to clean a fridge, how to make a bed, how to
there's no
clean
excuse.
in our day and age, you can't even say, well, Jen, I didn't see that growing up. I didn't have a mom or a dad who was clean. I don't know how to be clean. There's literally people who have YouTube channels dedicated to helping you keep your house clean.
There's no excuse for not knowing how to clean or cook.
No.
Because in our day, in our culture, you can learn how to cook, just by turning on your phone.
Yeah.
You don't have to have your grandma come over.
And you don't have
give
to
you her
sign up for an
recipe.
expensive cooking class. You can go on YouTube University. You're already on the channel, so you can go on YouTube
Yeah, but I
University
feel like
and learn
also
for free.
there's just and I'm gonna say it. I think there's just single ladies out there that don't feel like they should have to learn how to cook. And to me, if you're gonna prepare for marriage, you are doing yourself a disservice if you are opposed to learning how to cook because you feel like society has told you it's a woman's job,
and you're not
and you're
gonna
not
play
gonna feed into
rhetoric.
that, right? Then stay single.
Oh,
Don't be out here upset that you're not getting married, or you're having certain issues, because it is what it is. Somebody has to cook. And if you're in a relationship where the guy feels like, hey, I would like for you to do the majority of the cooking, or if it just works that way, don't take offense to that.
or clean. And the reason why I bring up cleaning again, Mark, is because I know of a couple right now where the wife just really can't stand cooking. She just hates it.
Right.
She knows how to cook some things, but
Right.
she just hates it. Her husband does what I do. So her husband does 98% of the cooking, but she said the trade-off is she loves cleaning. And they're a younger couple, just a few years older than us. And she said the trade-off has been, he was like, listen, I tell you what, girl, I'll hold you down in the kitchen, but you got to do a lot of the cleaning. And some people may have a problem with that and be like, oh, he's making her push all the mops. She actually said she would prefer to mop and sweep and vacuum and dust, because that's how much she hates the kitchen. But in her hating the kitchen, she's not unable to cook.
Right.
She just does not prefer to do the majority of the cooking.
Exactly. And marriage comes in different shapes and sizes.
Correct.
And so we're not saying you have to do this if you're a woman, you have to do that if you're a man.
Right.
We're saying to prepare for marriage, get certain skills down.
Just have certain skills down.
So that when you get in the marriage and you start to figure out who's going to do what,
Yeah.
you're not out here without the experience or the ability to do something and add value to the marriage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just please add value. If we're gonna do this, you gotta bring something to the table.
And I think that's one of the
You
best
gotta bring something.
things we could bring out, which is the overarching theme today is what can you do to be the best version of you?
Come on.
So that when you get married, you're bringing your absolute best and you're bringing your A game to the table. Not perfection, but you're bringing your best.
Because people don't want to marry liabilities, they want to marry assets. So
Uh-oh.
you have to be valuable. Make yourself valuable. Bring something to the table.
And a lazy person is not a person of value. Guys, he just basically said that. So why, when I say that, is he turning his head?
It's just the way
He
you
just
say
said
it.
people don't want to marry a liability.
It's just the way you say it. That's
Lazy?
so good.
How's that so
That's
good?
so good. Because I be
Guys,
thinking,
he's so weird.
I could just see people and their reaction. It's just so good. If you're lazy,
But
then
I remember
you're not
growing
adding
up
value.
with someone, Mark, and granted, we were young at the time, but we were like 13, 14.
Right.
And one of my peers at church one time said that her goal in life was to marry a saved man who had a lot of money because she said, I literally just want to sit at home all day.
Oh, you're a liability.
Now, thankfully, she was only 13 or 14 when she said that, but some grown women have that same mentality.
You're a liability. You're a liability. And they won't respect you.
Yeah,
They
that's
will
true.
not respect you because you're not bringing anything to the table.
Yeah.
So they may love to have you around for whatever they can get from you, but they don't respect you. And you don't want to be in a relationship or married to anyone that doesn't respect you.
Very true.
And the way to get respect is bring value to this thing.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, this is good. All right. Took us a little bit to warm up, but I'm feeling it. This
Yeah.
is good. This is good. So that's all I have, Jen.
Yeah, same here.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Breakfast with Mark and Jen. We want you to like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already.
Yeah.
And we will be bringing more and more content to you, fresh, hot, transparent stuff to help build your relationships and build your marriage. Until next time, we will see you soon. Take care.